Okay, so when we look at this one, we start off by dividing it into two halves, the chromium half and the sulfur half. So our chromium half is the CrO2 2- yields chromate, and we have 1 chromium on each side, 2 oxygens and 4 oxygens. So we add 2 waters. That gives us 4 hydrogens, 4 hydrogens. Now when we evaluate charge, we have a +4 and a -2, which gives us a +2. Here is a -2, so we need 4 electrons to make that balance. Then, for the sulfur half, we have 2 sulfurs here, and we start off with 1 sulfur and sulfate. So we put a 2 in front of the sulfate. Now I have 8 oxygens, 8 oxygens. I don't have to worry about hydrogens, so I just add 2 electrons to this side because I have a -2, and a 2 times a -2 is a -4 on the right. So adding 2 electrons, I get a -4 on each side. Now, this next part, because I have 2 electrons in this half and 4 electrons in that half, all I did was multiply this half by 2 to get them the same. Some people multiplied this one by 4 and that one by 2. And that works also. You just end up with an answer that's twice as much. So when I multiplied and added them together, I got 2 waters plus a CrO2 2- plus 4 electrons, 2 S2O8 2-, chromate, 4 hydrogen ions, 4 electrons, 4 sulfates. Canceled out my electrons, and I had a balanced half in acid. Then I added 4 hydroxides to each side, which I didn't show, and adding my hydrogens and hydroxides gave me the 4 waters. And I added 4 hydroxides to this side. I didn't write them down when I worked this out. Then I still have 2 waters, the CrO2 2-, 2 S2O8 2-, my chromate, 4 waters, 4 sulfates. 4 waters here, 2 waters there. I can cancel 2 waters, and I end up with my balanced equation in base. Did any of you end up with double this? 8 hydroxides and 2 here? Yeah, and that works just fine. So if you had done the multiplying by 4, multiplying by 2, you can get to the same correct answer. Okay? So it takes a lot of practice, and you're not going to get all of that practice in class. So if you're not already setting aside several hours a day for chemistry, you're really going to want to start. First 4 chapters, 0 through 3, was supposed to be a review of what you already knew coming in from your intro chemistry. And I know that the nomenclature was not reviewed. You really had to work at that. So now that nomenclature and knowing those ions, again, comes into play here so that you can read the language of chemistry. All right, do you have any questions? Okay, then I just want to touch on these definitions that may appear on the final exam. I don't do definitions in class, and I don't ask you about definitions on the test. But the difference between 2 kinds of acids, oxidizing acids and non-oxidizing acids. I think this is a bad vocabulary because both kinds of acids actually do oxidizing. Oxidizing acids, it's the anion that does the work. It's the oxidizing agent. And in non-oxidizing acids, they still oxidize things, but the hydrogen ion does the work. So that's a definition that I just like to point out because I think it's confusing. Because even non-oxidizing acids oxidize things. Okay, so we'll now stop. I'm going to stop the video and we'll